It's rather difficult to say that the drivers are changing in recent years. However, what we've seen is that a lot of outside influences have come to play that make these drivers more critical, particularly the engagement with international events. The coming of international terrorist groups that have begun to influence some of the crises, particularly as you might see in the Horn of Africa, and to a certain extent in West Africa as well. I'd say also that economic changes that have taken place globally have also had an influence. Changes in prices and so forth, cereal prices in particular, commodity prices have exacerbated some of the food security issues, and also an increasing area of attention that we're placing is on the use of sovereign wealth to lease or purchase agricultural land in parts of Africa that already experience high levels of resource competition. Well, it's rather difficult to say that climate change has a direct impact. The most immediate impact from climate is actually climate variability. It introduces a high level of risk, increases the level of risk to agricultural production, and most economies still are highly reliant upon agriculture, if not for their national economy, at least for the social cohesion of the country. And so the trend is somewhat diffuse in terms of climate change, because in Africa there are winners and losers in the climate change dynamic that's taking place. So climate change increases the immediate term variability, and that variability increases risk to the population. I would say that we're not necessarily developing new tools in the Horn of Africa, but what we're trying to do is increase the use of analytical tools in the crisis. So we've done some work on looking at travel time modeling to look at access and the impacts of either crisis events or natural disasters on access to communities or communities' access to services. We're also working with FAO in the use of imagery to monitor the impacts of their agricultural development efforts. And we're also looking at various ways of understanding the dynamics and relationships of various drivers to that crisis. The Worldwide Human Geography Working Group is basically an effort of geographers to begin addressing the true nature of the data that are required for humanitarian issues. And so they've developed a taxonomy of the key areas of the discipline of geography that have an impact on humanitarian issues. We had a conference in Ruston, Virginia at the USGS headquarters last month to really look at what the key data are, what the costs of collecting those data are, and how those data can be used for decision making. The idea being that human geography encompasses much of the spectrum of the key drivers, the key state factors involved in a humanitarian situation. And by integrating that information into the broader dialogue on humanitarian issues, you can increase at least the geographic breadth of the intervention.